In the year 3247, humanity was no longer the rulers of Earth alone. They had scattered across the stars, living among countless alien civilizations. Some humans had become explorers, some traders, and some, like Chef Alara, had built reputations that reached planets far beyond the Milky Way. Alara was famous, though not for weapons or speed or cunning. She was famous for her cakes, but these were not ordinary cakes. Alara's cakes had subtle qualities that no alien could truly replicate. The flavor changed slightly with each bite, matching the eater's mood and desires. Some claimed it was magic, others thought it was advanced technology. But the truth was simple. Alara understood humans, and humans understood joy in a way no alien ever could. Jax leaned against the edge of the galactic viewing deck, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. He had been traveling for months, visiting star systems few humans had ever seen. To the aliens, humans were fragile, unpredictable, and unremarkable. They were biologically weak, emotionally unstable, and technologically behind in many areas. Jax had spent enough time among alien species to feel the sting of their dismissive gazes. He smirked. They had underestimated humans for too long. Tonight, at the Grand Galactic Gala, he intended to change that in his own way. The gala hall was massive, with ceilings that shimmered like the surface of distant oceans. Aliens of every shape and color mingled, from the towering, six-limbed saurians to the luminescent, floating Thrylians. Humans were few and often overlooked, slipping quietly between the larger, more colorful beings. And then there was Alara. She stood near a floating table covered in delicate pastries, each one glowing faintly with an almost imperceptible light. Even across the hall, Jax could see the precision in her movements, the calm focus of someone who had mastered her craft through years of dedication. To most aliens, she was just another human, but to Jax, she was remarkable. He walked toward her with an easy confidence, weaving between aliens who barely noticed him. When he reached the table, he studied her work, not with the eyes of a judge, but with the appreciation of someone who understood the value of creativity. "Alara," he said, his voice teasing, "if I promise to eat every cake you make, will you marry me?" For a moment, the hall seemed to pause. Conversations halted. Eyes turned, not just at the audacity of the question, but because no one expected a human to speak with such charm and boldness. Alara looked up from her delicate work. Her eyes sparkled, and a smile curved her lips. "I've been waiting for you to ask," she replied, her voice calm but playful, carrying an undertone that suggested she was far more aware than the humans or aliens around them realized. A ripple of surprise went through the audience. The aliens whispered among themselves. A human daring to propose was one thing, but a human being acknowledged so calmly by the galaxy's most skilled chef was unheard of. Jax laughed softly, undeterred. He knew that this was just the beginning. Humans had always survived by being clever, by adapting, by finding joy in unexpected ways, and tonight, he would show the galaxy that there was more to humans than their supposed fragility. Alara leaned back slightly, studying him as if measuring the weight of his words. "Do you know what you're asking?" she said. "It's not a small promise. Not every human lasts long in this galaxy, and not every cake is easy to eat." "I know," Jax said, smiling. "But I also know that humans can do what others can't. We endure, we adapt, and we laugh through it all. That's why I asked you." Her smile softened, and she extended a hand. "Then let us see if you can survive a single tasting." Jax accepted. And with that simple gesture, a bond was formed. One that no alien politics, no galactic law, no technological advantage could break. Humans had their own strengths, and this was the first time in a long while that someone had recognized them openly. The gala continued, but Jax and Alara moved to a quieter corner. She presented him with a small plate of cake, delicate layers glowing faintly under the ambient light. The aroma was intoxicating, sweet with a hint of warmth that felt comforting in a strange, alien environment. Jax took a bite. The flavors shifted, brightening and deepening in ways that no alien palate could predict. For a moment, He felt a strange connection, not just to the cake, but to the human ingenuity that had created it. There was care in the layering, thought in the sweetness, and joy in the small unpredictabilities of the taste. "Delicious," he said. "And dangerous," Alara laughed, a sound that was both musical and confident. "That's because it's designed for humans. It's meant to be savored slowly, appreciated fully. Aliens rarely manage it. I can manage it," Jack said. He reached for another piece, already plotting how he could survive the rest of her creations. This wasn't just about food, it was about proving that humans could stand toe-to-toe with anyone in the galaxy, not through brute force or advanced technology, but through creativity, resilience, and a little bit of charm. Around them, the gala continued, a blur of colors, lights, and voices. Aliens mingled and whispered, curious about the humans who dared to stand confidently in their midst. Most had never seen such audacity, such calm in the face of a galaxy that considered humans fragile. Alara studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she nodded slightly. "You may survive the cake," she said. "But surviving the galaxy is a different challenge." "I'm ready," Jax replied. "I didn't come here to fail. I came to show that humans are more than what the galaxy thinks, and I want to do it with you." Her smile returned, warmer this time, with a hint of something that went beyond amusement. "Then, let us begin," she said. The night stretched on. Cake after cake was presented, each one a small test, a challenge to see if Jax could keep up with the culinary genius that was uniquely human. He laughed at mistakes, improvised when flavors clashed, and, most importantly, never gave up. Every bite was a testament not just to his taste buds, but to the adaptability and determination of humanity itself. By the end of the evening, the aliens around them had begun to whisper in awe. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, but here was one human not just surviving, but excelling in a space that required subtlety, creativity, and endurance. And at the center of it all was Alara, the chef who had quietly been waiting for a human who could match her spirit. As the gala wound down, Jax and Alara stood together on the viewing deck, looking out at the stars. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and filled with challenges, but for the first time, Jax felt that humanity could hold its own, not through weapons or machines, but through ingenuity, joy, and the courage to defy expectations. "I'll eat every cake you make," Jax said quietly, echoing his earlier tease. "And I'll make sure each one is worth it," Alara replied, her eyes glinting with amusement and determination. Together, they turned to face the galaxy, ready to prove that humans were more than the sum of their weaknesses. They were resilient, creative, and capable of delighting even the stars themselves. And for Jax, that first step, teasing a chef and finding someone who understood him, was the beginning of a journey that would challenge not just humans, but the entire galaxy. The morning after the Grand Galactic Gala, the city of Lumeris buzzed with excitement. The Galactic Culinary Tournament was about to begin, and it promised to be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Chefs from hundreds of star systems had gathered, each bringing their most advanced techniques, strange ingredients, and powerful kitchen tech. Humans were expected to fail. After all, in the galaxy's history, humans had never dominated anything outside their homeworlds for long. They were known for curiosity and resilience, yes. But the aliens believed that intelligence alone could not overcome biological weakness. Jax and Alara walked through the massive tournament arena, a dome of crystal and metal that shimmered under a sun borrowed from a nearby artificial star. The smells were intoxicating. Spices that glowed with light, liquids that seemed to float, and aromas no human nose could normally detect. Alara's calm confidence contrasted with Jax's excitement. "Remember," she said, adjusting the folds of her apron. "This is not just about flavor. It's about creativity, balance, and showing the galaxy that humans can compete with anyone." Jax grinned. "I'm ready. Just don't make anything too tricky," Alara laughed. That's the point, Jax. Everything here is tricky. But humans have a way of surviving impossible challenges. I'll show you how. Their first challenge was simple in concept, but deceptively difficult in execution. The judges wanted a dish that represented the chef's species. Something uniquely human, in this case. Aliens had brought recipes that combined multiple dimensions of taste, visual art, and even pheromones that could influence mood. Some chefs used entire pieces of living technology that adjusted heat and flavor automatically. Jax stared at his ingredients, a mix of humble earth elements and a few exotic imports Ilara had insisted on, and felt a pang of doubt. Could a human really stand out here? Trust me, Ilara said, noticing his hesitation. Creativity is our strength. Humans think differently. Let's use that. He nodded. All right. Let's do it. The timer started, and the arena filled with a symphony of sounds. Whirs, clicks, hisses, and strange hums came from alien tech as chefs worked furiously. Jax and Ilara moved with synchronized efficiency. She guided him through the layers of the cake they were creating. While he handled the improvisation, the small touches that Ilara knew would delight human taste buds but also surprise alien judges. Minutes became an hour. Jax struggled when certain Earth ingredients reacted differently in the alien environment. But instead of panicking, he adapted. He substituted textures, adjusted temperatures, and even added tiny flourishes that weren't in Ilara's original plan. That's it, Ilara said quietly, watching him. This is exactly why I waited for a human. You think outside the boundaries, and that's something no alien can replicate. When the judges arrived, Jax presented the dish with a flourish. The cake was a simple layer at first glance, but each slice revealed shifting colors, flavors, and textures. It smelled of vanilla, berries, and something uniquely human, a subtle warmth that reminded the eater of home, hope, and resilience. The judges tasted. Their eyes widened. They whispered among themselves. Many of them were creatures of logic, accustomed to measuring culinary success by formulas and precision. But humans thrived in unpredictability, and the flavors seemed almost alive. This is remarkable, one of the elder judges said. His 6 eyes blinked in unison. It carries complexity without over-engineering. It surprises us, but it is balanced. Jax grinned at Ilara. See? I told you humans could do it. Ilara smiled, a rare flicker of pride in her eyes, but she didn't let herself relax. She knew that the first round was just the beginning. The real test would come when the challenges became more dangerous, more complex, and more alien. The next challenge was announced: a duel. Chefs would pair up, each combining their techniques to create a dish that represented collaboration across species. Jax and Ilara were paired with a team of Saurian chefs known for their fire-based cooking methods. The Saurians were massive, 6-limbed, and confident. They didn't believe humans could keep up. Jax felt the weight of expectation and skepticism. He looked at Ilara, who gave him a small nod. We do it our way, she whispered. The challenge began, and chaos erupted. The Saurians' flames leapt too high, scorching some ingredients. Jax reacted instinctively, moving them and adjusting the mixtures with his hands, applying intuition rather than strict measurement. Aliens frowned, thinking humans clumsy, but he adapted faster than any algorithm could. Ilara laughed as she watched him work. You're learning the true HFY lesson, she said. Humans survive by thinking, by adjusting, by finding solutions. When nothing goes as planned, as the timer wound down, the dish was presented. It looked unusual layers, interwoven with fire-blasted textures, cooled with a touch of icy sweetness, and topped with unexpected edible blossoms. The judges tasted and paused, savoring the complexity. It's alive, said one Thrillian judge, floating in the air. It changes as we taste it. This is unlike anything we expected from humans. Jax smiled at Ilara. Alive, huh? That's humans for you. The next round brought the biggest challenge yet: sabotage. A rival faction of alien chefs, threatened by the human creativity on display, had planted dangerous ingredients designed to spoil dishes. The arena was filled with whispered warnings and subtle traps. Jax and Alara navigated carefully, relying on intuition and observation. Where the aliens panicked, Jax improvised. Where the machines failed, he used simple techniques humans had used for centuries: patience, attention, and creativity. Alara watched him, amazed. Every time, you adapt. You don't freeze. You don't fail. That is humanity. They finished the round without incident. In fact, their dish became the talk of the arena. Humans, once underestimated, were now seen as resilient, clever, and unpredictable. Finally, the last challenge of the day. The creative freestyle round. Chefs could create anything, using any ingredients, as long as it represented their species' spirit. Jax felt a surge of confidence. This was their moment. Alara whispered, "Remember, humans have something others don't. Joy, surprise, heart. Put that in your dish." He grinned. Together, they built a cake that was more than food, it was an experience. Each bite revealed new flavors, textures, and colors. Some layers were warm and comforting, others tangy and sharp, and hidden within were subtle messages of human history, culture, and resilience. The judges ate in silence. Then they applauded, not just for the taste, but for the story the dish told. Humans were no longer just participants, they were innovators, creators, and symbols of unpredictability that even advanced civilizations had trouble anticipating. By the end of the day, Jax and Alara stood together in the hall, exhausted but exhilarated. The alien chefs whispered and stared, some in awe, some in disbelief. The humans had survived every challenge, adapted to every obstacle, and turned every limitation into a strength. Alara looked at Jax, smiling. "You did well today. Not just because you survived, but because you thrived. That is the power of humans." Jax chuckled. "We make a good team. I guess teasing you to marry me was a good start after all." Alara laughed. "Yes, it was. But remember, the galaxy has more challenges ahead. Today was only the beginning." As they walked out of the arena into the glowing streets of Lumeris, Jax realized something important. Humans had always been underestimated, but they had an edge no alien could replicate. The ability to adapt, to create joy even in the harshest conditions, and to approach problems with a combination of courage and humor. And with Alara by his side, he knew they could face anything. The Galactic Culinary Tournament was only the start of a journey that would show the galaxy just how powerful humanity could be, not in strength or technology, but in heart, ingenuity, and unbreakable spirit. For Jax, the first day had proven one thing. Humans weren't just surviving, they were ready to thrive. And the galaxy had no choice but to take notice. The night air of Lumeris shimmered under the light of twin moons, casting long shadows across the quiet streets. In the tournament arena, however, peace was fleeting. A rival faction of alien chefs, threatened by the rising recognition of humans, had begun plotting sabotage. Their whispers carried through hidden corners, and subtle traps were planted in the kitchens where the next round of competition would take place. Jax felt it the moment he stepped into the arena the next morning. Something was off. The aroma of ingredients seemed sharper, almost artificial, and the normally serene hum of energy fields around the cooking stations flickered unnaturally. Alara noticed it too. Her eyes narrowed as she moved through the preparation area, examining every device and ingredient. "They're trying to intimidate us," she said quietly, her voice tight with concern. "They don't expect humans to handle pressure. They want us to fail." Jax clenched his fists but kept his tone calm. "Let them try. We've faced worse already. We'll adapt." Alara gave him a small, approving nod. She had chosen him as her partner not because he was perfect, but because he thought differently. Where aliens relied on precise machines, Jax relied on instinct, observation, and creativity, the very traits that made humans survive the galaxy's harshest challenges. The next challenge was announced, a test of innovation under pressure. Each team had to create a dish using a mysterious alien ingredient that had unpredictable properties. Rumors had spread that some competitors had already failed. their dishes ruined by instability or chemical reactions. Alara examined the ingredient, a pulsating, translucent fruit that changed texture whenever it touched heat. Jax raised an eyebrow. "This looks dangerous." "It is," Alara replied, "but humans can handle it. Watch and learn." As the timer began, the arena erupted with chaos. Aliens shouted at their teams, machines beeped frantically, and ingredients reacted unexpectedly. Jax and Alara stayed calm. He chopped, stirred, and mixed with steady hands, while she carefully measured the more sensitive components. When the fruit threatened to overcook and release a noxious gas, Jax reacted instinctively. He adjusted the temperature manually and added a small earth spice to stabilize the flavor. "Nice improvisation," Alara said, a rare smile crossing her face. "You think like a human," Jax shrugged. "We have to. Survival depends on it." Meanwhile, across the arena, rival teams struggled. One Saurian chef cursed as a flame they had unleashed consumed part of their station. A Thrillian chef floated in panic, unable to adjust the chemical balance of their dish in time. Every failure reminded Jax that humans were underestimated not because they lacked skill, but because aliens assumed they would follow rigid rules. By the end of the round, their dish was complete. The fruit, once volatile, had transformed into layers of sweet, tart, and aromatic flavors that changed subtly with each bite. The judges tasted, their multiple eyes widening in surprise. "This is unpredictable," one said, "yet perfectly balanced. Remarkable." Jax grinned at Alara. "Humans adapt. That's what we do." Alara laughed softly. "And we don't give up." But the celebration was short-lived. Backstage, the rival faction had not finished their plans. They had sent a warning if humans continued to succeed. The next sabotage would be far more dangerous. Jax overheard a conversation while refilling ingredients, plans for hidden toxins and explosive reactions. "We have to be careful," Jax whispered to Alara. "They're not just trying to scare us anymore." Alara nodded, her expression serious. "Then, we'll need to rely on more than just cooking skills. We'll have to use observation, intuition, and trust." The following challenge was a team event with mixed species. Humans were paired with the seemingly arrogant Saurians who had been dismissive earlier. Their task: create a dish that combined fire, ice, and a liquid that simulated gravity. The arena was filled with tension. The Saurians started with confidence, their 6 limbs moving with precision, producing flames that could sear metal. Jax immediately noticed a flaw: the flames were too intense for the gravity liquid, which could become unstable if overheated. He shouted a warning, but the Saurians barely heard him. Alara placed a calming hand on his shoulder. "Remember, humans think differently. We adapt, not overpower." Jax nodded and began improvising. He adjusted the temperature of the gravity liquid with a small, handheld device, using an old human method of gradual heating rather than relying solely on advanced machines. He added small stabilizing layers between the fire and liquid components, using his intuition to predict reactions the Saurians couldn't see. The Saurians looked skeptical, but the dish began to take shape. Layers of seared ingredients floated over the gravity liquid, cooled by icy shards, forming a delicate balance. Jax smiled. "See? Sometimes patience and observation beat raw power." Alara watched with admiration. "Exactly. Humans endure because we adapt." But the rival faction had prepared one final obstacle. As the judges approached to taste, a hidden container in the arena began to leak a toxic gas. Jax noticed it instantly, his senses honed from years of observing danger. Without hesitation, he grabbed a nearby fan device and redirected the gas, protecting both his dish and his teammates. Alara gasped. "You saved us." "I just reacted," Jax said, trying to downplay it. "It's what humans do." The judges tasted the dish, oblivious to the near disaster. Their eyes widened in appreciation. Balance, creativity, and courage under pressure. One judge said, "This dish tells a story of resilience. Humans are remarkable." Jax looked at Alara, their eyes meeting. In that moment, They both understood the truth. Their success wasn't just about food. It was about human ingenuity, the ability to survive when logic failed, and the courage to face challenges that others wouldn't dare. After the judging, the rival faction retreated into the shadows, frustrated. Their plans had failed because humans did not react predictably. While aliens relied on technology or brute skill, humans used creativity, humor, and intuition to turn the tables. Ilara approached Jax as they left the arena, a small smile on her face. "You're learning fast," she said. "Not just about cooking, but about surviving in a galaxy that doesn't expect humans to last." Jax chuckled. "I think humans have always survived this way. We're underestimated, but we endure, and sometimes we thrive." Ilara nodded. "And sometimes," she added softly, "we even win." That night, back in their quarters, they reviewed the day's events. Jax's hands were stained with ingredients, his uniform slightly singed, but he was exhilarated. "We made it through," he said. "And no one can say humans aren't resourceful." Ilara smiled. "Yes, but the galaxy will not stop testing us. The next round will be even harder. They will throw everything at us." "I'm ready," Jax said confidently. "As long as we're together, we can face anything." Their partnership had grown stronger. Ilara's precision and experience combined perfectly with Jax's adaptability and creativity. Together, they were more than just chefs, they were a demonstration of human potential. The aliens may have underestimated them, but humans were proving that intelligence, ingenuity, and courage were as powerful as any technology or muscle. As the moons of Lumeris shone brightly, the city below was unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding in the tournament halls. Humans, once dismissed, were beginning to show the galaxy that they were not just survivors, they were innovators, problem solvers, and a force to be reckoned with. For Jax, each challenge was not just a test of culinary skill but a lesson in the strength of humanity. And with Ilara by his side, he felt certain that no conspiracy, sabotage, or alien arrogance could stop them. As they prepared for the next round, the words of an elder judge echoed in his mind. "Humans are unpredictable, and unpredictability is power." And Jax knew, deep in his heart, that humanity had only just begun to demonstrate its power to the galaxy. The morning sun of Lumeris shone through the massive crystal dome of the arena, scattering prisms of light across the polished floor. Today was the final round of the Galactic Culinary Tournament. The stakes had never been higher. Every alien chef had brought their best, some with machines that could calculate perfect flavor combinations, others with ingredients that could react dynamically to the eater. But none of them had faced humans who thrived on creativity, unpredictability, and joy. Jax and Ilara arrived at their station, the tension thick around them. The air hummed with anticipation. Judges and spectators alike crowded around, eager to see what the duo could produce after surviving sabotage, fire, ice, and the volatile alien ingredients from previous rounds. Ilara laid out the ingredients they would use for the final challenge. "This round isn't just about cooking," she said, her voice calm but filled with focus. "It's about telling a story. Every bite must represent something deeper, the heart, spirit, and creativity of humans." Jax grinned. "Then let's make it unforgettable." The challenge was announced. Each team must create a dish that represents not just their species, but the essence of life itself. The dish had to be complex, harmonious, and evocative. Aliens turned pale, literally, as some ingredients in their recipes began reacting unpredictably. But Jax and Ilara felt alive. The timer began. Ilara moved with precision, layering flavors and textures with careful attention. Jax, meanwhile, improvised. He added elements that no alien could have anticipated, a touch of earth spices for warmth, subtle shifts in sweetness to evoke emotion, and even tiny edible symbols that told a story of human history and resilience. Around them, the arena erupted in chaos. Alien chefs shouted at each other as machines malfunctioned or ingredients became unstable. But Jax and Ilara remained calm, focused on their shared rhythm. Humans were different. They thrived in unpredictability, finding solutions where others would panic. At one point, a small mishap occurred. A layer of the cake began to bubble dangerously, threatening to explode. Jax acted instantly. He removed it from the heat, adjusted the pressure, and incorporated it back into the dish without losing flavor or structure. Alara watched, impressed. "Humans never stop adapting," she said quietly. Jax smiled, wiping a streak of cream from his cheek. "That's what makes us, us." Hours passed, and their creation began to take shape. It was more than a cake, it was an experience. Each layer revealed new colors, textures, and flavors. Some layers were soft and comforting, others sharp and surprising, and hidden beneath the surface were hints of Earth's landscapes, culture, and spirit. The dish was alive, responding subtly to the environment, adjusting flavor and temperature as it was served. Finally, the judges approached. The arena fell silent. Aliens who had been dismissive of humans now watched with curiosity and awe. The first judge tasted a slice. His eyes widened. "This is extraordinary," he said. "It carries emotion, depth, and complexity. And yet, it is harmonious, remarkable." Another judge added, "It is not just a dish, it is a story of resilience, creativity, and heart." Jax looked at Alara, his grin wide. She laughed softly, the sound cutting through the tension. "We did it," she whispered. "We showed them what humans can do, but the challenges were not over." In a final twist, the organizers announced a secret test. Each dish would be exposed to random environmental changes, heat, cold, gravity shifts, to see how it would adapt. Most alien dishes failed instantly. Layers collapsed, flavors separated, machines short-circuited. But Jax and Alara's creation held. Its layers shifted gracefully, maintaining balance and taste. Every bite was as perfect as the first. The audience gasped. Humans, who were supposed to be fragile, had created a dish that survived what advanced alien technology could not. The judges tasted again, nodding in approval. "This is unprecedented," an elder judge said. "Humans, you have shown ingenuity, resilience, and creativity that no one expected. Your species is capable of extraordinary things." Jax felt a surge of pride, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. They had endured sabotage, chaos, and skepticism, and they had triumphed. Alara reached for his hand, smiling warmly. "We did it together," she said. "Yes," Jax agreed. "And it's just the beginning." The award ceremony followed. The humans stood at the center of the stage, receiving accolades from the judges. Aliens approached with respect, some even bowing slightly. Humans had earned recognition not through brute force, advanced technology, or intimidation, but through creativity, adaptability, and joy. As the crowd cheered, Jax and Alara looked at each other. There was more than victory in their eyes. There was a bond formed through shared struggle, understanding, and trust. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. Later, back in their quarters, they reflected on the day. Jax leaned back, exhausted, but elated. "You know," he said, "aliens might have all the technology and tools, but humans, we have heart, intuition, and a way of seeing solutions no one else can." Alara nodded. "And that's why I waited for you. I knew humans had that spark, and I knew you could show it to the galaxy." Jax laughed softly. "All it took was a little teasing and a promise to eat every cake you make." Alara smiled. "Yes, and now the galaxy knows the rest." The city of Lumeris glittered below as twin moons rose, casting silver light across the horizon. Jax and Alara stood together on the balcony, looking out at the stars. They had won the tournament, but more importantly, they had proven that humans could thrive in a galaxy that doubted them. Jax turned to Alara. "Do you think they'll ever stop underestimating us?" Alara shook her head, laughing softly. "Probably not. But that's fine. Humans don't need them to believe in us. We believe in ourselves. And together, we can face anything. He took her hand, holding it firmly. Then let's see what else we can do. If humans can conquer a galactic tournament, who knows what's next? Alara laughed again, the sound full of joy and promise. Let the galaxy watch. Humans are just getting started. In that moment, Jax felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This was more than victory in a competition. It was a demonstration of humanity's potential. They had used creativity, resilience, and heart to overcome challenges no alien could predict. The universe might be vast and filled with powerful beings, but humans had a strength that could not be measured by machines or weapons. As the night deepened, the stars shone brighter than ever. Jax and Alara sat together, sharing a quiet moment, savoring the triumph of taste and the promise of the future. They had faced sabotage, chaos, and doubt, and they had triumphed. Humanity had survived, adapted, and conquered. And this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, they would face new challenges. But tonight, they celebrated not just as winners of the Galactic Culinary Tournament, but as symbols of human ingenuity, courage, and the unpredictable spirit that set them apart from every other species in the galaxy. Jax looked at Alara one last time before resting. You know, he said softly, I think humans can handle anything, as long as we stick together. Alara smiled and squeezed his hand. Yes, together, we are unstoppable. And under the twin moons of Lumeris, humanity's light shone brighter than ever, proving to the galaxy that resilience, creativity, and joy were powers far greater than any alien expected. The victory of Jax and Alara in the Galactic Culinary Tournament had sent ripples across the galaxy. News of their success traveled faster than any starship, reaching distant planets and civilizations that had long dismissed humans as fragile, unpredictable, and unremarkable. Yet, for Jax and Alara, the victory was only the beginning. They returned to their quarters in Lumeris, tired but exhilarated. The city below shimmered with light, a web of streets and towers reflecting the twin moons above. Even in the quiet of their room, the energy of the tournament still buzzed in their veins. Alara arranged her tools carefully, placing ingredients in neat rows. The galaxy thinks this was just a tournament, she said softly. But it's more than that. It's a statement. Humans are capable of things no one expects. Indiskans are just the sun side. The Krupit. Jax leaned against the doorway, watching her. We've proven it already. But I know you're thinking bigger. She looked at him, her eyes bright. Yes. There's more we can do. Humans have creativity, adaptability, and resilience. We've survived in countless worlds. Why stop at a competition? Jax grinned. Then let's not stop. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do outside the kitchen too. And that was how their next venture began. They decided to open a human-run interstellar bakery. But this was no ordinary bakery. It would be a place where humans could showcase their creativity, ingenuity, and joy, and where aliens could experience the unique qualities that made humanity remarkable. It wasn't about making money or fame. It was about building bridges, sharing culture, and celebrating unpredictability, the essence of being human. The first location was a small orbiting station near Lumeris, chosen for its accessibility to travelers from many worlds. The construction and design were purely human in style, practical, warm, and inviting, with touches of Earth aesthetics that reminded the founders of home. Jax insisted on open kitchens, where visitors could watch the creative process unfold. Alara filled the shelves with exotic ingredients from across the galaxy and combined them with familiar Earth flavors in surprising ways. Word spread quickly. Aliens who had witnessed their tournament victory traveled to taste the creations that had humbled the galaxy's finest chefs. They arrived with skepticism, but left with astonishment. Humans didn't just bake. They infused every dish with creativity, heart, and an element of surprise that no machine or formula could replicate. Jax and Alara thrived in this new endeavor. Every day presented challenges, balancing ingredients from worlds with different atmospheres, adapting recipes for alien palates, and sometimes facing curious mishaps from their unpredictable visitors. But every challenge reminded them of the lessons learned in the tournament. Humans could adapt. Humans could survive. Humans could innovate. One afternoon, a group of alien diplomats arrived, curious to understand how humans had achieved such success. They tasted the cakes and other delicacies, their expressions shifting from doubt to amazement. "This flavor combination is unexpected," said a Thrylian diplomat, floating above a plate. "But it works perfectly. How do you achieve such creativity?" Alara smiled. "It's simple. Humans experiment, improvise, and sometimes make mistakes. But we learn from every attempt. And we do everything with care and joy." Jax added, "And sometimes we surprise ourselves too. That's part of the fun." The diplomats nodded, impressed. They left the bakery, carrying news of the human creations back to their homeworlds. Slowly, humans earned recognition not just as survivors or explorers, but as innovators capable of inspiring awe across the galaxy. As the bakery flourished, Jax and Alara's personal bond grew stronger. They had started as partners in a challenge, but now they were partners in life. Their shared experiences, the trials they had endured, and the victories they had achieved, had created a trust and understanding that went deeper than words. One evening, after the bakery had closed and the stars shimmered above the station, Jax turned to Alara. "You know," he said softly, "I teased you once about eating every cake you make, but I think I mean it now." Alara laughed, the sound warm and comforting. "I've been waiting for you to say that for a long time," she replied. Echoing her words from their first meeting, Jax took her hand. "Then let's promise to face everything together, from cakes to the galaxy itself. No matter what challenges come, humans can handle it. And I want to handle it with you." Alara smiled, squeezing his hand. "Agreed. Together, we can do anything. And humans will always surprise the galaxy in ways no one expects." Their life settled into a rhythm of creativity, challenge, and exploration. They experimented with flavors from unknown worlds, introduced humans to alien ingredients, and shared stories through their creations. Visitors from across the galaxy came not only to taste the food, but to witness the human spirit in action. Ingenuity, joy, and resilience combined. The human reputation grew. Humans became known as innovators who could solve problems others considered impossible. Scientists, traders, and diplomats began consulting with humans for creative solutions. Jax and Alara's bakery became a symbol of what humanity could achieve, not through dominance or force, but through intelligence, adaptability, and heart. One day, a young human visitor approached Jax with awe. "I heard humans are capable of amazing things," the visitor said. "Is it true?" Jax smiled, kneeling to meet the child's eyes. "Yes, but it's not magic. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and believing in themselves. And by working together, we can face anything, even the stars themselves." Alara watched from the counter, proud. Humans were not just surviving, they were inspiring a new generation. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries. But now humans were seen as a species of creativity, resilience, and heart. That evening, as the twin moons rose over Lumeris, Jax and Alara stood together on the balcony of their bakery, looking out at the bustling spaceport below. Ships came and went, carrying travelers, diplomats, and chefs, all drawn by the human reputation for brilliance. "You know," Jax said, leaning close to Alara, "humans have always been underestimated. But I think now, the galaxy finally understands. And it's only the beginning." Alara rested her head on his shoulder. "Yes, the galaxy is vast, but humans have something no one else has. Creativity, courage, and the ability to find joy in everything. As long as we remember that, we'll always thrive." Jax smiled. Then let's keep surprising them. Elara laughed softly, the sound echoing into the night. Together, they watched the stars shimmer, knowing that humanity had proven itself, not through domination, but through the qualities that made them unique. And so, Jax and Elara continued their journey. They built a legacy not just in taste, but in spirit. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were recognized as innovators, problem solvers, and symbols of resilience across the galaxy. The bakery became a hub of creativity and inspiration. Alien visitors left with not just full stomachs, but new respect for humanity. Humans had shown that adaptability, ingenuity, and joy were forces stronger than technology, power, or intimidation. And in every dish, in every creation, and in every story they shared, Jax and Elara reminded the galaxy of one undeniable truth. Humans could face any challenge, thrive in any environment, and turn every obstacle into an opportunity. As the stars twinkled above, the humans of Lumeris shone brightest of all proof that with heart, courage, and imagination, humanity could conquer not just the culinary world, but the galaxy itself. In the quiet moments, Jax whispered to Elara, "We've shown them what humans can do. And I think we're just getting started." Elara smiled, eyes full of warmth and promise. "Yes. Together, we'll continue to surprise the galaxy. And every cake, every creation, will remind them of the strength of humanity." And so, under the twin moons and glittering stars, humanity's light shone brighter than ever. Resilient, inventive, joyful, and unstoppable.